Clarke from My Vote Counts. Sheilan, a good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us. My Vote Counts has waited for this day for a very long time, and I think the country has as well. Are you satisfied with what we got, though, from those disclosures from the three political parties?
Yes, so my vote counts, of course, have been waiting for this day, as well as the country, as you've mentioned, because this is the first time that South Africa will, have transparency around the private funding of political parties, and also the PPFA, the Political Party Funding Act, is the first of its kind to regulate the funding, the private funding of political parties, as a way to, have parties keep track of their funding, and also as a way to try and mitigate possible corruption. As we've seen, only the ANC, DA, and Action SA disclosed their funding of 100,000 rand and more. It is quite concerning, because this just means that out of the 500 registered political parties, so 500 parties are registered with the IEC, about only 60% of them have not declared or met the deadline for the IEC, or let the IEC know that they would not be able to disclose. So this is quite concerning, especially it being an election year. Because we know that to contest elections costs quite a lot of money. Yet at the same time, it's quite important to note that this disclosure period was only picked from the 1st of April, when the act came into effect, to the 30th of June. So the disclosures should be made from that period alone. Yeah, so yes, it is a mixed bag. Yes?
No, sorry, I jumped in there and I thought you were done, but you can finish the thought as well. I think what I wanted to add is April to June is a very short period of time. We're not seeing astronomical numbers essentially being declared. Are you at all concerned that we're not getting the full picture, even if it is within that tiny time frame? So how do we ensure that political parties are in fact declaring truthful benefactors?
Yes, and again, this is a new piece of legislation, so there will be, things that we need to adjust and see how the process goes. But again, it is a short period of time. So this just means that with the next quarterly disclosures, we need to make sure that all parties, first of all, meet that deadline, because this was the issue that many parties did not meet the deadline with the IEC, or they did not let the IEC know that they were going to disclose or not. So just to push for parties to really meet that deadline, also for donors to meet that deadline as well, and also to encourage donors to donate to our political parties.
Yeah. Just quickly, do you think that in the next quarter that we'll see more and more political parties really starting to join that list of those that do declare? Or could it be that the majority of our political parties simply aren't funded enough to be able to pass that 100,000 rand threshold?
No, that would not be the case, because to contest, especially in an election year, to contest an election can run you into the millions of rand. So it's not that the parties are not making 100,000 rand of donations. Parties should comply with the act. So again, we're just pushing for parties to meet the deadline. But again, for this first disclosure from April to June, could be that was a short period of time. But we need to see some more information, maybe a more broader sense from the IEC in terms of the disclosures. Yeah. But yeah, we really need to push for parties to meet their deadline. But again, they need to comply with the act, because if they don't comply with the act, there are penalties that they should face.
Yeah, just let's go back to what we've actually found, though, in that report, which I think is quite important. Some of the standout bits, essentially, that we do have coming out, some things that you perhaps think we need to keep a close eye on, because one thing that I certainly did is looked at all of the funders, and you're immediately tempted to go and find out who these people are, what businesses they're in, what businesses they've possibly done with the state as well.
Yes, so again, this is the great thing about the PPFA, is that we are now allowed to see who these donors are. Yet at the same time, unfortunately, and a loophole is that donors are still allowed to be anonymous, and that can be a bit of a loophole that we need to look at in future. But yes, looking at the few funders that we've seen, I see in the Multi-Party Democracy Fund, which is a pool of funds where donors can donate to this Multi-Party Democracy Fund if they want to donate to more than one party. That fund only received one donor so far. So we're also just trying to push for people to donate into that multi-party democracy fund. But again, it was a short period, but for the next disclosures, we will really, we should see more parties disclose in the next disclosure period.
All right. Thank you so much for speaking to us. That there's Sheilan Clarke from My Vote Counts speaking to us. And you can share your thoughts as well.